that update. We'll be getting more of Jimmy this week from the southern part of Africa, which is South Africa. He'll be giving us the perspective of the business landscape in that area. All right, now let's get to our conversation of the day, where we are talking about medical technology. We'll be looking at some of the hardware in medicine, what the medical sector is looking at in terms of even including AI into medicine. And joining me is Wambui Nyaberos. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
She is the Chief Tech Officer, Vilgrow Africa Limited. And also on my far left is Katuchi Kasandi, who is the Director of Invention, Education Partnerships at Rice University 360 Institute for Global Health Technologies. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get right into the conversation and look at when you talk about medical technology. Kasandi, let me just start with you. What are we exactly talking about?
Thank you. So we are talking about hardware devices that are leveraged to address critical health challenges in our communities.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
And do you just give us a perspective from
Sure.
where you sit?
If I was to add to that, I would say these are the devices that people use on a day-to-day basis. They could be as small as thermometers all the way to MRI machines.
Mm-hmm.
There's also things like, like when you wear a Fitbit and it's collecting your information, that could be medical technology because it's looking at healthcare, all the way to robotics and surgical equipment. And like you said, emerging is artificial intelligence in the areas of things like medical imaging.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's just stick right there and not even move to AI, still with the medical technology and how Kenya is even getting into this space. When you look at technology in medicine, how are we as a country embracing it? Are we at a place where we can say, you go to a hospital and you'll be assured that the technology that is there is going to take care of everything? Wambui.
I think that's fair to say that we have medical technology in our hospitals. Mm-hmm. The thing that I would also say is that a lot of that medical technology is imported from elsewhere. So there's actually a statistic that 80% of medical technology on the African continent is imported from elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. And Kasandi, what do you think about this? When it comes to the Kenyan hospitals and even the health centers that we have, having technology and taking care of the different situations that we have when it comes to surgeries, when it comes to the diseases that we have we really gotten into it, or we are still struggling?
Yeah, thank you. And I would just add to what Wambui was alluding to. On top of the statistic that she's just shared, I would also highlight that about 40% of the medical equipment that usually gets into the hospitals in emerging markets usually ends up in medical graveyards. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons that facilitate this is because a lot of that medical technology is not custom made for the local realities. So for example, you'll see that the medical equipment that is coming has different voltages than what is available, or even has been tested in environment that has different dusts, different humidity. So when it comes here, most of the hospitals will just retire it into the medical graveyards. And now for us as an institution, we are really working towards ensuring how do we build the local manufacturing capacity to ensure that we have talent that can actually create technology that will help address some of these local needs that currently are not present in the medtech space.
Mm-hmm. Right. Still on your point, when you look at the local market, so is it that we don't have people or we don't have the expertise to really make these equipments, or what is it that we are missing in order for us to import? Because Wambui spoke about many of the technology that we have is imported. So what is it? What is the problem? Because you've spoken about us lacking that. So what could be the problem?
Yeah, and I'll speak about it from a skills perspective because that's Rice 360's forte. So from a skills perspective, you'll notice that a lot of maybe I'll say that if you look at the methodologies that are used to train the talent that's supposed to come and contribute into the local manufacturing agenda, it tends to be very theoretical, and it also tends to not respond to the local manufacturing needs. So really then now for us, in the bid to address this, is we are prioritizing transforming how engineering education is delivered to ensure that we are making it more practical by providing maker spaces in universities and also just training the faculty that are involved in training engineers so that they can be able to leverage very practical project-based learning approaches to equip engineers. But over and beyond that, we want to ensure that we are also connecting these faculty and the student innovators to the local manufacturing partners in Kenya, so that whatever they are training is actually driven by the needs in the industry. And this is something that these are the conversations that we will be having at the upcoming Transforming Africa MedTech conference, to really just ensure that university, manufacturing, enterprise development providers are not working in silos, but we are facilitating linkages for everyone to actively play their role to ensure that we have a successful African medtech ecosystem. All right, we'll get to even the education, the engineering and all that. But Wambui, when we look at the importation of this equipment that we have, a hospital is maybe having a celebration because one equipment has been brought to test maybe for cancer or to test for other things. So where are we going in terms of, we are trying to transform into the technology part, we're trying to be digital. So in terms of even embracing this field, in order for us at least to even be at par with other different countries, what are we doing in this field?
Thank you for that question. So I'll start with what Vilgro Africa does, because Vilgro Africa is an impact investor and an incubator that has been around in the healthcare space for the last 8 years. And what we do is we work with startups and entrepreneurs to help them bring their products to the market. So from a medtech or medical technology perspective, what we do is we give them small seed grants, but more importantly, we work with them to make sure that they are able to build their technology, so they get both technology assistance as well as the financial assistance. And so, you know, that's a long roundabout way to answer your question, but what we are trying to do is to empower entrepreneurs and innovators by providing them with that starting space. Beyond that, Ms. Katuchi mentioned about the Transforming African MedTech Conference, is bringing together stakeholders from the entire ecosystem to really understand, okay, we have an idea, we have a startup, we've given them a little bit of money. Now, how do we link them to manufacturing? How do we make sure that there's a regulatory environment that works for them? How do we make sure that they have a market that they can sell into? And how do all of these people come together and talk about how to work through that entire value chain so that we can get our own medical technology into our hospitals.
All right, thank you so much, Wambui and Katuchi. Just hold it right there. We're going to go for a short break, but when we come back, we're also going to be looking at the digital divide that this is going to bring. When we look at the rural hospitals and the hospitals also in the urban areas, are the rural people going to really embrace this or not? All right, so we're going to go for a short break, but when we come back, we're going to continue with more.